Welcome back to Jeff Needs Help, everybody. We got an awesome show in store for you this week. I've got one of the OGs of podcasting. I've got one of my maybe my original podcasting friend, one of my first interviews, and an actual friend that that we've developed throughout the year. I've got John Svedese with me tonight. From you know what, John, I'm going to let you tell everybody what you do now because you're into so many things. I'll probably overlook some stuff. So first of all, thanks for coming on the show tonight, man.
You know what? This show is a long time coming, Jeff.
Yes,
you and I haven't done a show together in a minute, and
yes.
I love doing shows with you. You and I, man. You know, like you said, we go way back.
It's so easy. It's so easy when it's us. I'm telling you.
But right now, as you guys know, from when I started with you, Jeff, I run a show called The Basement Surge.
Absolutely.
And I also run another show called From Podcast to Vodcast, where I help people level up their shows and go from podcast to vodcast.
Yeah. So, and we'll get into a little bit here. So I called this episode Podcasting 101 because essentially what me and you are going to do. So like, if you don't know me and John, we've got a little history here. We started this. He was on my show a little over a year ago. Him and Frank from the Basement Surge were on my show. And then we both kind of eased into the vodcasting, which essentially started off as, hey, let's go live on Facebook and act like dumbasses and get drunk.
Right.
I'm not exaggerating too much. So we called this one Podcasting 101. It's obviously, we're not the smartest guys in podcasting. We're two of the smartest guys at podcast, but we may not be the smartest guys in podcasting. We're just going to just kind of discuss the year that we've had, but also talk about some real stuff and some real tips, and hopefully, maybe take some questions or some things like that, and just basically relive our do's and don'ts and experiences, and maybe some funny stories that happened along the way.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny because you and I had started our live shows and really our podcasting careers together.
Simultaneous, yeah.
Yeah, like we came up together, and we learned a lot, especially from each other. It's like, how'd you do that? How'd you do this? Kind of thing. And it was a blast.
It really was. I mean, it's hard to think. It's been a slightly over a year now, and especially this was everybody. I don't know, like New York was slightly different. If anybody doesn't know, John's from out of New York City. So in Ohio, like this was officially the week a year ago that we shut down, quote unquote, shut down. And of course, what that means for vodcasting is that's when everybody went to Zoom, and StreamYard, picked up, and all the video conferencing and all those things picked up. So, it kind of sparked the movement, of us going to live. It was about a year ago when I got on with DJ Kelly from Dads That Drink at that time. Mm-hmm. And, he kind of showed me some ins and outs, and then, me and you started doing some lies.
Oh,
and I would love to go back and look at some of those because they were always 1 a.m. We always want to have shit face.
They all lasted like 3-4 hours.
Oh man, yeah.
They were all so long. And
so,
by the end of it, we were done. We were like drunk.
Brendan Roy was always, he was always willing to jump on and spark one. No, I mean, we would like, I'm not even joking around here, people. Like, we would have to take bathroom breaks during our live feeds. and that occasionally still happens, but like we would take turns, like, John would be like, hey, take over for a few minutes. I got to go to the bathroom, or vice versa. The lighting, like John's studio was not, that thing is gorgeous now, man. We'll talk about that in a minute. We're going to talk about some of the equipment that you recommend now and stuff like that, because you really are doing some great things over there, but it's hard not to reminisce about some of the fun. I can't believe it's been a year, man. It's really wild. It was probably about a year ago that you had me on to do the Run Jeff Run episode.
Yeah, Run Jeff Run. Yeah.
That was really fun for me.
Yeah, and I think you were the very first guest we had on the show on the Basement Surge, and it was only because Frank wasn't in the state. He had to go to Florida to see his girlfriend's parents. And hi, Linda.
Oh, right there. This is my mother. For anybody who doesn't know, she's absolutely all of our biggest fans.
Yes.
Between me and you and Dad's Worldwide and Dad's a Drink, like she is a legitimate fan, listens to everything we do. She loves you guys. And it's funny because it's great because it's classic, like, mom fashion. Like she'll text me after our show and be like, oh, that was a fun show. Oh, Frank's got a mouth on him, like just classic stuff. Like it's great.
Yep.
Oh, there's Hops News. Yes, another
What's up?
They were right there. Yeah, Jeremy, man, he jumped the curve. Like his stuff sounded great. I believe Jeremy was on the Morning Buzz, correct? Well, I don't know if it was the first Morning Buzz that we started, but Jeremy was on with us. Yeah, it's good.
Jeremy's still killing it. I see.
Oh no,
I see him go live all the time.
Every time I watch him, I'm like, I'm doing this wrong. Like his lighting's great.
I know.
His lighting's great. His sound is great. It's
I know.
Really cool. It's and that's another. He had me on his show. It was his podcast at Then Why, and this was about a year ago. It was when I was training for the Arnold, so it was slightly over a year ago. And we're still friends. We still connect. We did a football show together this year. A lot of good connections through that. So it's been really cool how I would not have dreamed that we would have all kind of stuck together in a like we have. Would you? I mean, this is crazy, man.
No, I mean, forget it. When Morning Buzz.
It's not dead. It's just it's always in hibernation.
Still there.
That's still one of the funnest shows ever. So I'll describe real quick. We talk about the Morning Buzz. That's I was on quarantine at this point back in like May. So me and John started. This is when the lives, we were kind of starting to figure out the lives, to be honest with you. We were getting better at it. The lighting was getting better. The intros, the backdrops and everything. So me and John started a morning show called the Morning Buzz. And it basically, we would just come on and we would and that was one for us. Like, I'm a sports podcaster. If anybody that's just Jeff Needs Help fan doesn't know, I'm also a sports podcaster. John had the Basement Surge, so this kind of let us just talk about whatever we wanted. I mean, we went deep into politics a few times, or we would just talk about whatever the funniest things happened. So that's what the Morning Buzz was. It is not dead. It's always just in hibernation. It can pop up at any moment.
If memory serves me right, you started going camping again during the summer, and then you didn't have any time.
That was it. That was my weekend. You're not wrong.
Yeah, because we recorded on the weekends.
Yeah, I even did your guys' show on a camping trip one time. I did a live show with you guys on a camping trip.
You guys give me too much credit. I'm here to learn.
Humble.
Bro, your streams always look top notch. I love your quality.
Yeah, they're seriously.
Yeah, you got good stuff going on.
Drinks good beer too, but oh yeah, man.
I never figured we'd be friends, like forever. Like,
and for the back, we'll tell the backstory again, like for anybody listening for the first time to either one of our shows. So essentially, we had a Facebook group for new and independent podcasters. And I got on there and I said, I started Jeff Needs Help after football season. And I said, I'd like to interview other podcasters because there's a lot of interesting people out there. John's like, we'll do it. At that time, John had just started the Basement.
Yeah, I think we were only like 4 or 5 episodes in.
I looked and it was like maybe that many. Like it was, but when we started talking, you were like 2 in. And you were the deli boy was still like current.
Confessions of a Deli Boy. Yeah.
So
that other show I used to run because I used to work in a deli, and I was like, hey, let me just do a podcast about the secrets and everything that goes on behind the counter.
I'm curious. Do you ever go back and check the numbers on that to see if people still, or did you?
I took it down.
You actually took it down. Yeah. I was just curious to see, because that's one of those things is like, you never know when somebody can click on it. Like it could just be random, like a guy I was thinking about pastrami today, and next thing you know, you got 1,000 downloads. But and that's how long ago it's been, man. And I wouldn't have guessed that. Like, I mean, we hit it off that night. I listened to that on our year anniversary not too long ago.
Yep. February 7th.
February. Yeah. Yep. And I listened to it and I was like, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. Like we laughed and had a good time. But to think that we would have stuck like we did, it's one of those things like, you meet a you meet a friend at summer camp and you're like, oh, we're going to be best friends forever. Like this is never going to go. Right. You know, then a couple letters later, you're like, nah, man, I just, we got to move on.
It was fun, but let's just move on now.
Yeah. It really stuck. And I still like what you guys do. And I'm always checking out your show and we're always texting. And I mean, you're always there to bounce an idea off of.
Hell yeah.
For sure.
Yep.
So you know what? We'll get to that. And then you started. So we started vodcasting. I mean, vodcasting isn't. We didn't make up the word, but
yes, we did. We're trailblazing, Jeff. We're trailblazing.
We're trailblazers. So we start podcasting. I start during the summer. I start the Jeff Needs Help vodcast group, which is just a bunch of us where we can kind of like share some things and like look at each other's. And then you take it a step further. So let's talk a little about. Tell us a little bit about podcast to vodcast.
Yeah, well, I noticed like a lot of people, because the content that I was putting out for the Basement Surge, a lot of people were asking me, how'd you do that? Can you do it for me? That kind of thing. So I was like, well, if so many people are asking me to do all this, asking me for advice and everything, why don't I just make a podcast about it? At that point in the Basement Surge's career, I'm comfortable enough now in front of the camera and behind the microphone where I know my shit, so I'm like, all right, I'm just going to do this. And it's really taken off, I mean, it's become pretty successful in the sense of, I'm really the go-to guy to help a person with the vodcast, any advice, any graphics, camera equipment, just stuff like that, and it's awesome. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you did. It's been cool to see you, like the connections that you've made and the people you've had on. Like, for instance, like I think everybody knows who Perez Hilton is. Like that was maybe a couple months ago.
Yeah, that was last month. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you interviewed Superman. That was pretty cool. But yeah, your show just always looks great, and you're always moving on to the next thing. Like it's never stale.
Yeah.
And it's like constant upgrades and constant.
Well, that's the thing is that I try to outdo myself, with each show, and see, like this Saturday I'm part of a convention on Facebook, a podcasting convention, and this Friday starts the convention. It's running all weekend long, and Saturday I'm actually sitting down and interviewing for from Podcast to Vodcast. I'm sitting down with Steve Olsher, the editor-in-chief of Podcast Magazine.
Holy cow, that's awesome, man. I didn't even know that. That's awesome.
So it's going to be a lot of fun.
You did a what would you call that? What was it about? Man, the time has flown by so fast, but maybe in the fall you did kind of another, it wasn't more of a convention, it was more of a like an instructional thing, right? Didn't you do something?
Yeah, I did at the request of the group I'm in, the Facebook group, Pod VCom. They asked me to do a little tutorial on OBS and how to use it for your live streams, so I put that together. I did a live show. It was kind of like a small little event within the group.
And I recommend anybody out there that's in, whether you got questions about podcasting or into the live streaming, we'll get John's information to you. He's, if you know the basement, like everybody knows this day and age, like you could Google him and you're going to find him. But as far as like the OBS stuff is really, really cool that you do. I enjoyed that. You put a video out, and man, I learned a lot from it. You taught me everything about StreamYard, which is what we're on now. And it's got better, but what you've done with you created my first logos and backgrounds and overlays and things like that.
A lot of fun, man.
I'm still not near as good at it as you are, but I mean that's how
you're doing just fine, Jeff. Really,
just fine.
You're doing great.
I'll take fine, John.
It's just fine. Just you stay right there. It's all right. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, just some super cool things. I mean, you're just always into something or advanced.
I try.
But it brings the rest of us up. You know what I mean? Because I love to see that podcasters I've worked with over the year are still going strong. It makes me feel good, like when I, like, I mean, I can remember you guys, like what I told you, over a year ago. I was like, oh no, you guys got it made. And you're like, oh, I don't know. And, but I was right. I'm just saying I was right. Basement surge.
I still don't know. Like the basement surge is still up in the air. I'm like,
that thing's wild, man. That thing's wild. But
I just take it 1 week at a time,
you guys sound, and I think that's part of your charm, is that you guys sound like you're taking it 1 week at a time.
I'm like, hey, we released an episode this week. We don't, it doesn't really matter.
I get it, man. I'm as sporadic as anybody can be. Yeah. You know what? So let's get into that before we tell drunken podcast stories here. Let's talk about some tips that you have for podcasters / vodcasters, whichever. Like just like kind of the absolutes, like. If someone's sitting there right now, like, you know what, I'm going to venture into this podcast thing. Just let's talk about a few things that you're like, you have to have this.
Okay. You don't have to have anything.
Okay.
So my basic advice is that if you're going to get into this, and you don't have much money or no money at all to spend, literally use your phone.
Yeah.
You can use your phone. Everybody's got a phone. I've done it. I'm sure you've done it. So it's just use your phone. And just before you go investing literally probably thousands of dollars into equipment, get the basic stuff. So see, like when I first started with you and I, it's like I was using the shitty webcam that was built into a laptop.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. And that's what I ran the show off of for maybe 5 or 6 months.
Yeah.
And it looked like crap, and I was so upset. And I think because I was watching a lot of other people's vodcasts, like Jeremy from Hops News.
Oh, yeah.
At the time, like the quality of my video was crap, and I seen that his video was really good. Like I'm all right. I'm like, all right, he's probably using a DSLR. He's got it hooked up to a cam link to his desktop computer and all that. And it's funny because now I have done so much research into this industry, into all the tech and everything, that I can look at somebody's stream and I can tell what they're using.
Really?
Yeah. Like I could tell if they're using a DSLR, a webcam. I could see, the boom arm and the microphone, obviously, but, and sometimes it's obvious when they're using a mixer. So, but when you're first starting, and let's say maybe you don't know if podcasting is for you, or if you don't know if you're going to like it, don't spend that much. Take $100 and go get a decent microphone, because you can get a really good microphone for under $100. I think the ATR 2100X is under 100, and that's a diesel microphone. Like, this is the ATR 2100. This is the one I started out on.
Yep, I remember.
And
even Frank at one point had different microphones. I remember.
Yeah. So, like this microphone is under $100, but they don't make the ATR 2100 anymore. Now it's a 2100X. So it's basically the same thing. but these microphones are workhorses. It's got the USB and XLR outputs.
Yes, I need to switch over to that, because I have a lot of issues with. I do a lot of shows to where we're using a different format of recording, to where like there's times where the mixer can actually be a hindrance when recording the show, and I would just like to have a USB to plug in. So I've actually been meaning to hit you up for a combo mic.
Well, there you go. The ATR 2100X. It's like $100.
Yep. See, I'm telling you, you never stop learning. So, you know what? There's a couple big things here that you touched on that I find. Let me see. There's the most unknown about out there. Let's talk about mixers, because the majority, which surprises me, the majority of podcasters don't use mixers. And when I say all this, I have no idea what's right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm not judging or anything. I'm just saying what I find is, like, I tell people I have a mixer and like, oh yeah. Even, you know what, you remember before you got the Rode, like, and I would tell you about the feedback and stuff. You're like, I don't know what, you know what I mean? Even you.
Minus, yeah.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're like, you got that thing, and the sky's the limit. But
right.
So let's talk positive, negatives of having a mixer. Let's talk about that for a second.
Well, I think it all depends. I think if you're a one-man show, and you plan on staying like that, then just a simple USB mic connected straight to the computer would suffice, because all the effects and everything that you could do on the Rodecaster, whether it be compression or normalization, it's just, you could do that in your DAW. You could do that in, like, let's say the hell's the name of it? Audacity.
I'm like, Audacity. I still use Audacity.
Yeah, so do I. So it's I don't try to complicate things. Like they have Adobe Audition. Like that thing looks hard as hell to use, and a steep learning curve. Like Audacity gets the job done. It's nothing crazy, and you don't need anything crazy.
Yeah.
But if you are just a one-person show, then I don't think you really need a mixer. Unless maybe you plan on expanding down the road. If you get maybe 2 or 3 people in where you need more inputs.
Right.
Or if you want to take in phone calls, let's say, or make phone calls or play sound effects. And, so there's a whole bunch of things to consider when buying a mixer. Like you just have to think of the type of show that you want to make.
Right. And your options. Yeah. That's what, like I say, even me, like I always use a mixer and I really like it and I can do some cool things with it. I bought mine because I used to have an in studio show. Like me and my co-hosts were in studio and you had to have one then, just like, well, I like you and Frank. And
sometimes you have your son on, right?
Oh yeah. I've had several, like really up until last March, I had, a lot of in studio guests. I've had a couple since, but, not a ton, but yeah, they're almost a must for that. I think here's what's funny. I basically now I pretty much have a one-man show. I've got like 4 microphones, a mixer. Like I got just stuff just laying around.
That's okay.
And I'll order something. Like we've talked about this a million times. Like it feels like for the first few months of podcasting, like an Amazon box was showing up every day.
It's like Christmas.
And then it was crazy. And you ran into this, I know, once let's just say, once COVID hit, like you couldn't get this stuff because everybody had to go to working from home. Yeah. So you couldn't, and everybody went to podcasting, which I still don't judge. I have no problem with everybody going into it. I think it's, what do they call that? Being a gatekeeper. I don't believe in that. Like if somebody starts a podcast tomorrow and they're better than me, that's fine. I'm not like that. The more the merrier. But
statistically, most new podcasts don't last past episode 7. So.
Yeah, which is crazy. Once again, that's what it's amazing because, for those of you who don't know, I happen to be vice president of a sports network company where we have, I think, up to 20 podcasters now, and writing articles and everything. But everybody in there has been like over a year now of creating podcasts. It's amazing how they've stuck with it. Guys like you, it's so cool when I see that. Like Jeremy, he's still out there. Brendan's, we've been on each other's shows a couple times. Yeah. It's so cool to see that. But then I wonder something. I think we help each other in that way. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like there may be a time to where I'm like, you know what, maybe this isn't. Maybe I'm just going to take a break or whatever. And then I see you guys, and I'm like, well, no, I don't know. I don't know if I think it helps to have a community that is, always.
It's good because it's good inspiration for new content, and it's good to see maybe one of us does an episode about WandaVision. Like you recently did it.
Yes.
You started a WandaVision series.
Yes, I've got 9, or not 9 yet. We got to record 9 this week, actually.
Right, and then like the guys from Dadna Rock do a WandaVision series.
Yes. Oh
so yeah. Frank comes to me last week. He's like, "Hey John, let's do a WandaVision series." I'm like, "Frank, like WandaVision's over." And then I said, and everybody and their mother's doing WandaVision.
Oh my God, there's a million of us. It's crazy. It's crazy. That's why we started doing the watch parties, because we're like, that's a little different. Really had a lot of fun with doing that. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna me and Steven are gonna continue right through Winter Soldier. It's not gonna be as long and drawn out, but I'm gonna keep doing it because I love as much as I did. We love the comic book stuff. I know you're a DC guy. Man. Love the comic book stuff. We're not
Frank and I don't want anybody touching this. Okay. Frank and I are doing Justice League. Okay.
Oh wow. When's that come
out? Next Thursday.
Okay, so you guys will probably do it that next week.
The 18th.
Oh my God.
Coming out the 18th, and we'll probably come out with something on the 19th. So.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's going to be wild, man. That's going to be wild. I haven't got to listen to your show this week. I know you guys touched on it. I haven't got
we spoke about it. We actually didn't record anything for this week. So what we decided to do was we decided to just go live on Monday and and record a live show and put that out as our podcast episode.
Yeah, that makes sense because I don't remember seeing a notification, but I'm sure I would have because I very seldom miss you guys. But I've got to know personally like 30 different podcasters this year. So like when they all come up, and I do my best to listen to everybody. I very seldom miss one of your guys. And
it's funny because I say the same thing because it's like, I follow so many other podcasters, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, I follow a lot of podcasters everywhere. And, I'm like, hey, what happened to Jeff or what happened to Brendan, and I have to go searching because Facebook doesn't show me everything.
No, it's actually, I've had that a couple times. Like, hey, where you been? I'm like, I don't know. I've done, I think my sports, I've done 27 this season, and
that's crazy.
And Jeff needs help. Done another, like, I've done like a total of like 40 episodes since September. I'm like, no, I'm here all the time. Like,
Jeff, the way that I was going live in the beginning, basically going live every day, okay, is basically you now.
Okay. I was on a run there for a minute. I remember my wife, she tells this story all the time. It's you can go back and look at the video. So Dads that Drink. So what they would do, their show started, I believe, 10:30 Eastern time. And then they would kind of do their show and go through their topics, DJ and Jeff. And then at like 11 or so, that if you were watching, they would invite you on, and like they're like, oh, hey Jeff, you want to join us? I'm like, yeah, sure. And so they drink pretty heavy. And by the time I get on there, it's like 11:30. Well, by like 1 in the morning, I'm just blitzed. Like it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And I remember it was them, Gilstrap was on there, and we were talking about best sequels that were better than the original in movies, because DJ is a movie guy.
Yeah.
And it came around to me, and they're like, Jeff, name one. And I'm sitting there staring at the camera, and they're like literally, and it got to be so funny. They're like literally just say a movie, say a word, and I'm just sitting there like this. And it's still on video, and you go back and watch it. It was absolutely the drunkest I've ever been on a podcast. And finally, DJ is like, I think Jeff's done. I think
Jeff's done. Yeah.
I basically passed out live on a podcast. Not super proud of it. But
I remember your wife telling the story when you guys were doing one of my episodes where
yes, that's right. Yeah.
You couldn't actually make it to bed.
No, it was bad. And then we, me and the Basement Surge had the famous Jaws episode that like the forbidden episode.
That episode gave us so much trouble.
It was haunted, bro. So we were scheduled to do it. Yeah. So if anybody doesn't know, I'm a huge Jaws fan and defender. Jaws has been wrongfully accused for all these years. And when it gets to about June or July, it'll start heating up. And so John and Frank were going to have me on to talk Jaws, all the Jaws series. I couldn't be more excited. So the first night we're supposed to record, we get a power outage in Ohio, which is where I live. Right. So I can't record because the power was going to be out. Like the power was out till like the next morning. Yep. And so then we have to, and then you're trying to get everybody together, like we all got families and everything. And so then we were supposed to record, I think like whatever the next time we did record. And for whatever reason, one of the audios didn't show up.
Yeah, I think my audio stopped recording or something, or I didn't hit. No, what happened? It was like gargled because I was using the laptop and the processor couldn't keep up with the recording.
Yeah. so we record for like an hour and 15 minutes. That doesn't record. So then we're like, okay, we're going to do this again Saturday night. So we get everybody back together. So this is the third attempt. We finally record it, but we're having the same show. Anybody. So there's some behind the scenes business for anybody, people that's not in podcasting.
Yeah. And then like the third time that you and I and everybody sat down to record that, I wound up getting so drunk at the end of it that you can literally hear like halfway through. Like you can like I start slurring a little bit. You know?
No, the funniest thing will be like we'll record a show. Or, so John does a lot of like episode recaps for the Basement Surge. So like Monday, this podcast would come out, the audio, and then Tuesday night they would reflect on it, which was really fun. We'd all kind of jump in and talk about what we listened to and everything. Yeah. Well, then what would be funny is like that show would start at like, I think 9 at night Eastern time.
Yep.
And then like at 11 o'clock at night, I'm in bed and there's John still on live. and it's usually like Brendan was on there, somebody else by this time. And I'm like, what is going on? I tuned it in, and it's just John shit-faced on McCallum usually.
Yeah, me and Brendan, I think it was after that episode.
Yeah, and it's just you and Brendan on there drunk and harassing me to get on. And I'm like, no, because if I get on, we're going to be on here another 3 hours.
Yeah, you'll start drinking.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you got to. So that's another like do with podcast. It's you need a microphone, a laptop, and usually a good drink. Like tonight, I've got Rabbit Hole Rye. I brought it on special for John. John's got his usual.
I got my usual Macallan Scotch. 12-year-old.
Of course, that's because that's how Tony Stark does it. Yeah. So we always call John Tony Stark because
did you see my profile on Clubhouse?
I saw it, but I didn't catch it.
One of my names that I put under there, I said, vodcasting is the evolution of podcasting, Mr. Vodcast, and the Tony Stark of podcasting.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, all I get's the nicest guy in podcasting has got me nowhere. It has got me nowhere. Yeah, my mom said she should just give up on us and go to bed. Yeah. No, it was insane. Like we would forget to stop recording, and then we would just be blabbing about like whatever, and I would look up and go, "Oh, we've been recording for 4 hours." Oh, what we got here, Joe? What you up to, John? You sharing that, John?
I'm sharing the screen. You're a podcaster with no webcam.
I think you
not anymore, Frank. Not anymore.
Right? You might be overestimating your rate.
It's podcasting, which means it's like radio, which means I don't need to be seen. I just need to be heard.
This was an early episode from us. This was the very first episode, the very first live show that I ever put on.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I think it's best like that.
Facebook Live episode 1.
What he looked like? That man should stay on radio.
If Howard Stern can do it, anybody can. I got an echo. My mic wasn't even on.
Yeah.
You hear what he said?
I said if Howard Stern can make a living.
If Howard Stern can do it, anybody can.
Howard Stern is the man.
See, this is when I was using the webcam.
This is awesome, man. I was on a complete other side of my studio. If I didn't have my mic on, I might not even have it on tonight. If I sound like shit, then I didn't have it on tonight.
No, you sound good, man. You're good.
Yeah, I didn't know that I had it clicked on that. I'm infamous for doing that because what I do is I unplug my laptop and it resets my.
Yeah.
And I'm lazy. That's funny, man. That was fun to watch. I like going back and looking at that. That's great. Those are good times, though.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun, man. Just staying up like till like 2 a.m, drinking with you guys. It was the
best. It really was, and especially like during the time, like but this was when like you weren't leaving the house. You know what I mean?
Right.
We were really. Yeah, that was it. No, it was really cool. Like I tell everybody, I understand like the issues people have had with missing their friends and stuff through this. And I've been so fortunate to meet like guys like you and all the guys I work with on the sports network. That it's really like, like almost all of my friends are virtual. It's really odd, but it doesn't make it any less real. Like I used to like judge myself on it. I'm like, well, I don't know what makes the difference. I've talked to you more this year than I have almost everybody I graduated with.
Yeah. It's funny, you make a really good point because it's like I used to make fun of my daughter, because my daughter Anna has a whole bunch of friends. I'm like, who are your friends? I never see any friends, and she's like, well, I have my friends on Minecraft. And I'm like, I used to, tell those people aren't your real friends. I mean, come on, you got to go out, in real life, meet people, but it's like, it's the same comparison, with podcasting where it's like, yeah, I have real friends, you, Brendan, the group of guys we put together, you guys are real friends. So
yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to go see Brendan this summer.
My mom met Brendan. Did you know this?
Really?
So when she went snowmobiling, my mom goes snowmobiling in New Hampshire, and she's always talking with. She's a big fan of Brendan. Loves his show. Like I say, she's honestly our biggest. It's crazy, like how big of a supporter she is. So she goes to New Hampshire, and I think she posted like where she was at, and Brendan was working just down the road and recognized where it was at. And I got a picture of him. And he went and met her. How cool is that?
Nice.
Yeah. I thought that was really neat. And she went up there last summer and like actually got recommendations for some beer. Every time she goes to the Northeast, she brings me back beer, which by the way, they're fantastic. This is one right here. It's just amazing. So Brendan gave her like suggestions and she brought him back or whatever. But yeah, he actually came over and took a little time and introduced himself. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, Brendan's been trying to get me and the family to come out there, so we're probably gonna go visit this summer. And he said, would you believe this? He goes, yeah, if you guys come, you're gonna have to pitch a tent in my backyard. You guys are gonna have to sleep in a tent. So I'm like, hey man, that's fine.
I might bring the camper up. What if I camp in the backyard? It feels like there might see some. I don't know if they got. I don't know what you use to keep away bears, but it feels like there might be a bear up there. I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a nice area. Like that was pretty crazy. I forgot. I can't believe I forgot to tell you that. That was pretty wild, man. But
I told him. I told him when I get up there, I want a lobster roll. I want to try a lobster roll because I've never had one. So and I called it a crab roll the other day on the show with him, and he almost lost his shit, man. It's funny.
A crab roll. That's great. That's so. But yeah, so we're and then we're hopefully we make it to New York City this summer. We have all intentions on coming to New York City this summer and seeing you guys and meeting you and Heather and the family and Frank maybe. I don't know. I mean, they're more than likely. I'm not going to like Frank. I mean, he doesn't seem that likable.
I don't blame you, Jeff. I don't blame you.
Will he have the little one by then, or when's the baby due?
Yeah, he's due. The baby's due in June.
It'll be close. Yeah, it'll be close. Awesome. Yeah. So, so I'm hoping to start, making, some of the actual acquaintances and stuff this summer. I think it's super cool. Then we can have our convention. But I mean, you guys are always welcome to come to Ohio. And you want to do a little bow hunting? We can hook you up.
Yes. I got to get out there, Jeff. Got to get out there. Don't worry, I'll come up without Frank. Frank's not a hunter. So
that doesn't shock me. He won't even let you talk about sports, John.
I know.
He's not. He doesn't only not talk about sports. He won't let you talk about sports.
Do you know how much I wanted to talk Brady and football last season?
I bet a lot. That was quite a year.
Yeah. And it's like this guy, like he doesn't know really anything, and like his girlfriend's more of a sports fan than he is.
Yeah, he's kind of anti-sports, but there's nothing. It is what it is. But it's odd, especially New York City's pretty. You guys like sports, but no, that was crazy because we talked about Brady on the Jeff Run episode, and then it happened, man. Like won the freaking Super Bowl, like crazy.
Yeah. It really was crazy, and like I had all expectations of him retiring this year. And because I really thought that he was like, all right, well, I'm just gonna play one more, win the Super Bowl, and then I'm out.
Yeah.
So,
that's insane. Yeah. No, I saw a video of him today. Like he's in as good a shape as ever. Like it's amazing for his age. He's only he's a couple years younger than me, but it's amazing. Like he's fine. Like he's got 2 or 3 more years left in him. Like
well, he is on record as the oldest quarterback, right?
Yeah, he's one of the oldest players ever.
Like ever?
Especially, I think outside of a kicker. Mm-hmm. Like he's one of the oldest players ever to play the game. There's maybe George Blanda, but yeah, he's way up there. Like it's crazy. Like you forget how old he is.
Yeah.
Like
he doesn't look that old, you know. So that's the thing.
Fine. In sports years, well, yeah, he's younger than me. I'm not going to say he's old, but I'm saying in sports years, he's old, man. Oh my gosh. So,
well, you look good for your age too, Jeff.
I take that. I'll take that. Yeah,
because you look late 30s, early 40s.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm mid 40s, so I'll take that.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, it's been a long year. It's been a long year. I've put a few years on.
Why don't you take a couple more sips?
That'll help. Hey, it'll make you look better. I can tell you that.
No, man, I'm already 2 sheets through wind. So it's
I see you growing the beard out. I see you got the beard coming.
You know what that is? I haven't made it to the store yet to get shaving cream.
Oh, so. Sorry. Just a lazy beard. Yeah. I get those in the winter. Every now and then I'll look up. Actually, I'll be doing a live stream and I'll look up and I'm like, oh, I forgot to shave. And then I'm like, oh, no, I might as well just grow it now. And then
I noticed that a couple of weeks ago, I was watching one of your shows and I turned over to Heather and I'm like, oh, Jeff's got a beard. Looks good.
Yeah. I met you guys last year. Because Frank loved me.
Yeah.
He loved my beard.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah. But that was just a lazy beard. I have no excuse because I didn't even train for. I usually grow it when I train for the Arnold, but there was no Arnold this year, so that was just pure. It was just pure laziness. Might have one in the fall though.
Well, Jeff, I may actually be talking to you pretty soon about putting on a virtual event.
Okay.
Because the Basement Surge has recently partnered with the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research.
Really cool, yeah.
So now I get to put on events, and the foundation will sponsor them. So I've been trying to rack my brain on starting an event, whether it be a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, whatever, but I don't know how to go about it as far as like organizing it and, so maybe we can work together on that.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's several sites. What's up, Brendan? My man.
Brendan, what are you doing, man? Come on here. You're just as old as we are. Let's go.
Welcome, Brendan. Yeah, there's sites and you can go and they'll help you out with that. But for certain, yeah, that would be a dream of mine, man. That's actually something I've wanted to do, like for a long time is help organize something like that. So I would definitely be in.
I think it'd be a lot of fun,
That's super cool that you guys are doing that too. I'm glad you brought that up. That's really neat. So you guys go to where's the best place for people to check that out? Facebook, John? Is that where?
No, you could just head on over to the basementsurge.com.
Basementsurge.com. Sorry about that. Yeah, basementsurge.com. I recommend everybody. There's a lot of cool stuff on there, by the way. Like you guys actually have a really nice website.
All the information on the foundations on the website, even the button to donate, to make a donation to join Team Surge. So
yes, yeah, super cool. Yeah, I'm glad you're doing that, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, it means a lot to me because my grandfather had Parkinson's.
Yeah, I heard you talking about that. Yeah, I know what you mean. That's a tough one too. That's something Yeah, I can see why you would be so passionate about it. That's a really tough one.
Well, what do you got going on next, Jeff? I mean, with your sports show and Jeff Needs Sports.
Man, so football season's over, so we're that's my specialty. So like right now, what we're focusing on was we're trying to get the network itself. Like we've got a ton of talent right now, and it's almost like we've grown and done probably a little faster and a little better than we thought, which is awesome. So now it's it's organization, because we're all virtual. We're from all over the country. So it's not like you can just have a meeting, in a room with people.
Right.
So, you're always bouncing ideas. So now our biggest thing is what we're doing, because I can take a step back a little bit. I don't have to do as much outside of football season. So now it's like, plus I focus more on like the articles and stuff. I enjoy writing that and learning how to do that. But what we're trying to do is focus on developing a more structured, time frames and schedule and stuff for our shows. Like, the shows that we put out for the Off the Ball Network, .com, we're trying to get them, more structured and focused. So it's more like television programming. So that's a big focus right now. The guys are really doing great. We just got lucky enough and had our first female writer join us, which is super cool. WNBA expert. Really a lot of neat stuff there. But yeah, it's just
that's great. I mean, just in time for International Women's Day, right?
Yeah, it was on that day. Yeah, it was yesterday, I believe. Yeah, really super cool. And awesome. I know it sounds sexist to say it, but we respect the
Oh,
viewpoint,
it's big, yeah.
female viewpoint, and that's another sport that we're not experts in. And now it's another sport that we can cover on the website. Her first article is already great. So everybody go to offtheballnetwork.com, check out the guys' articles, all the podcasts are on there. So yeah, right now, my focus is on, structure, developing, fine tune the network, developing shows. I'm kind of head of creation. So bounce off ideas for each other. Cause as there's a ton of shows out there that sound alike and talk about the same things. So it's like, how do you separate yourself? How do you, and our biggest thing is like, we're not negative. We don't get on and yell at you and call people stupid about, a lot of sports shows want to do that.
Not everybody has a Frank. No,
no, we can't all be friends. So ours is positivity. Like even if I don't like your team and you don't like mine, we still, it's not a negative. So, and we're about giving like good information, not just repeating like the same.
That's great.
So right now it's just a focus on production. Of course, Jeff needs help. We did WandaVision. We're gonna venture into the Winter Soldier. Do some of that.
I can't wait for that stuff, man.
Yeah, me too. That was really fun. Stephen Gillespie asked me to do that. He's a writer, a great NBA writer for our network, but he's also a comic book fan. The guy's doing like 5 or 6 shows a week now. He's in the Navy, really well rounded. Yeah, we're lucky to have him. So he wanted
busy man.
Yeah, it's in it, and it's I think he just had his 5th child, Charlotte.
Wow.
Yeah, he's just one of those guys, but he puts in more work for WandaVision every week than you can imagine, which makes the show better. So we're gonna tame it back a little for Falcon and Winter Soldier, like more of a reactionary show. So I got that coming up. Of course, I've got some interviews. You're always, just like you get asked by several podcasters to be on their show. So, like Whack Brackets, we've got something coming up, not in the near future, some things like that. I got a James Bond show coming up. I mean, it's just, things are really, things are really going good, man. Like, it's just like we always talk about. It's about time in the day that you just don't have. Really having a lot of fun.
It's funny because when I first started podcasting, I didn't think that it would be like this.
Me neither. Me neither. I thought like, I'll walk up to the mic, I'll record, I'll put it out and walk away.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. But this is like a full-time job.
It really is. It really, no, it's right. And it's crazy. I was talking to one of my teammates the other day about that, and I said it's amazing. You'll sit down to create like an overlay, like I need an overlay for this show, because with the sports it changes each week. So like I can't just reuse the same show titles and stuff every week. It's constantly changing. And next thing I know, I look up and I'm like, I've been sitting here for 3 hours. What the hell just happened? The sports movie show is coming real soon. Actually, I am doing that. I'm glad that you brought that up. So yeah, I'm going to start doing kind of a, honestly, I just stole it from Bill. I'm going to do a rewatchables kind of sports movie show.
I seen your post, with all the different movies.
Yeah,
it's put on Instagram. Was it? I think it was.
Yeah, I've had a couple of them delayed because of just scheduling. Like I said, our guys are so busy, and but I want to do them proper. You know what I mean? I don't want to rush these episodes. So yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to break down. Each guest gets to choose their sports movie. So it's some of the best sports movies of all time we're going to talk about, and we kind of break them down in like a unique way and a structure. So yeah, the first one is coming up soon. We're doing Any Given Sunday. I've got a few more scheduled. I'm going to try. I wanted to put out one every 2 weeks, but it's just the guys are busy. It's been pretty crazy. And
let me know when you guys do Jerry Maguire.
So you can do it. You want to do Jerry Maguire?
I'll do Jerry Maguire. I love that movie.
Jerry Maguire?
I love Jerry Maguire.
Then you're in. You're in Jerry Maguire. Guests get to choose their show. I don't choose it. So here's what we do. So I'll display it. I think I'm going to call it. I think I'm just going to call it simply like Film Room, because that's kind of a sports take and whatever. I haven't quite decided, but that's where we're at now. First of all, coming up with a podcast name is almost impossible.
Oh, forget it.
I can't even. I've been through 1,000 of them, and Oh, by the way, I should have mentioned that. That was Josh Gilstrap. He just started his new podcast, Your Next Favorite Movie. And honestly, people, it's awesome. So go find your next favorite movie wherever you get podcasts. It's really cool what Josh is doing. And he's been helpful to me all year. So really neat. So yeah, so essentially I watch the movie and I come up with kind of a show for that movie, like comparisons and what's your favorite part, obviously the classic, like who would you recast and things like that. And then I send that to the person. Then when they watch it, they know what they're looking for in it. So yeah, we could do Jerry Maguire. I'd
love to do that.
Yeah. And that'd be great because I hate that movie. So that'd be no, I mean, but I mean that, like, that's a lot of fun when people Heather, you're welcome to do Blindside. If whoever claims them.
She loves that movie.
She's absolutely welcome to do it. Yeah, Heather, get a hold of me and you can do Blindside. I'm seriously, it's so that's it. So that's essentially I watch it. I draw up a schedule for it. I send it to you. So, and then, we kind of go from there. So yeah, those will be coming out soon. I forgot I'm working on that. Yeah, pretty busy. I don't have much downtime. We got the NFL draft coming up, which keeps us super, super busy. It's crazy. Yeah, like you said, I never thought it would be like this, man. I really like
not at all.
Yeah, I've got, and I know it's not a lot, but I've passed 1,000 listens on both podcasts over the year. It's nothing crazy, but it's something. It means I'm sticking with it. Let's put it that way.
You know what? Podcasting is not a sprint; it's a marathon.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I tell everyone.
If you start podcasting, you're in it for the long run. Yep. Because unless you're a celebrity, you're not going to be an overnight success.
Yep, absolutely. That's what I said too. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you can start one tomorrow and there's some of us like in our little groups and stuff that like just they strike that chord and they explode, which is awesome.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, if you have a hyper niche podcast, then it's good. But shows like mine, like the Basement Surge, it's general discussion. So we literally talk about anything and everything. And then when you pile that on top of Frank's mouth, we can't really do anything. So
he's a character. Well, hey, you're talking about sports, man. Like I got to get on there and compete with, like, I do a High State Buckeyes podcast every week. Like, can you imagine how many High State Buckeyes podcasts there are? Yeah. But still, I still get like, the one person that's like there's always that. I always tell everyone I do the podcast for like that one person that's waiting for it that week. I don't know who that person is, but I do that show for them. And because there's been times to where I've missed a week because of just whatever reason.
Yeah.
And you'll get that one, like, really cool, like message or whatever, like, hey, is everything okay? Yeah. And you don't know who that person was before that. And you're like, they expected that show. Like you guys, I mean, if you guys miss a week, like
you are that person to me, Jeff, because we missed a week. We missed 2 weeks, I think, in a row one time. Something had happened with Frank. And you text me. You're like, what's going on? Like what's happening?
And that makes you it makes you feel good. And sometimes this week we had to postpone WandaVision because we just want to have all the guys there, and it was just an inconvenient week. And I was like, hey, it's the last episode. I don't want to rush this. My main guy, Steven, couldn't be there that night. And I'm like, there's no way that I'm going to let this guy put in 9 weeks of work and then do the show without him. I was like, the show's not going anywhere. You know what I mean? There's not another episode this week, so it's postponed. So then I get a couple texts like, hey, this is because we do a live show every Monday night, and I get a text like, like just kind of like what's going on with the show tonight, and I'm like, things happen sometime, but it also makes you feel good. So I'm like, that's why I keep doing it. But in saying the sports community, I've been able to work with through the Buckeye episodes that I've done. I've been able to meet some really good connections. Guys that have, some pretty big podcasts in the Buckeye world, and we bounce ideas off each other. So like, and you the same way. I mean, some of your guests that you've had on just been just awesome, man. And they're from all over the map. You know what I mean? Like really smart people. And you've had authors on,
I've gotten lucky, I mean,
it's not luck, man.
It is luck because it's all about, I'm a firm believer that you should be on every single social media platform there is. you know. So it's kind of like when I got into Clubhouse, I was so excited because I was like, hey, all right, so not everybody's here, but there are people that are, but the people that are here are people who are worth something, you know. They have some value to bring to the table. So
that's a good point.
yeah. So what happened was that I was literally joining rooms on Clubhouse just to listen, you know.
Yeah,
and which side note, if you're on Clubhouse, you can start following me at vodcast. So so I was in a room one day and I was just listening. And Perez Hilton was on the panel speaking, and he was literally walking from his car to the supermarket. And he even said on the show, he was like, well, I have to go food shopping now. But to expand a little bit on what I really meant and what I meant to say is that I think video is the future of podcasting. And I couldn't raise my hand fast enough to try to talk to him when he was out. He's like, I have to go food shopping now, but I'll see you guys later. And he was gone. And if it wasn't for Clubhouse, then I wouldn't have had Perez Hilton on my show.
Yeah.
You know, because it was because of that I reached out to him then after that on his website. And I was like, hey, I'm the guy from Clubhouse, you know, you know, and it's just getting people like him, whether it be actors or musicians or authors, you know, it's just all it takes is an email. Just send out an email. You know, just reach out and touch them. Yeah,
and be genuine. Just be genuine, and you know, don't act like you're. Don't hide your motives. I mean, they know why. Like, you know, sports. I mean, you can imagine like there's thousands and thousands of athletes that are our guys get some great ones. They're getting NBA players. They're really doing a good job. Now that's not really my niche. Mm-hmm. I like talking to. I don't know. I like talking to the content creators. I think it's my age, honestly. Like, if nothing else, it's not that I don't want the guest or whatever. I just feel weird. Like, I don't know. I think it's just something about being just, you know, an older podcaster that I'm just a little different. But the guys they just kill it, man. It's great. But one of my favorite things, and you know, I'm sure you remember the first time it happened to you, is when somebody reaches out and asks you to be on their show. Like. Yeah. That is like, I still to this day, like I got asked today to be on the show. Like they want me and Steven to come on and talk about the Winter Soldier. Every time, man, like I am so flattered. I think it's awesome. Like it is my funnest thing because that means because they don't have to ask. There is no obligation. It's not like we're sitting in a crowded room and they feel obligated. You don't even know they know you exist, and then you'll get a message.
If somebody reaches out saying, hey, come on my show, that's like, oh man, like you like me, because that means that they're actually paying attention to you. They're listening to your show, they're watching your show. So
I still to this day, every time it happens, I'm like, this is awesome. Even when you me and you were I think we were just BSing, and we're like, we should do a show. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm still like, yeah, it's awesome. Like every time, like it's not even, and it's not about like attention. It's not like I'm starving for attention. No. I genuinely like meeting new people. I like, talking about, whatever subject it is or whatever. Like I don't know. It's a blast, man. Like, but every time it's still one of the, yes, absolutely. You just let me know, Josh. You know I'll be there, man. I already got a movie picked out, Josh, just so you know. Yeah.
It's not Jaws, right?
What's that? No, it's not Jaws. Somebody already did Jaws. I believe I can't remember the name now. It's really cool. He's doing a really good job, man. His interviews are really cool. But no, it's not Jaws. But I do I can't do enough. I did two separate Jaws episodes last year. Like I can't get enough of it.
Anytime I see anything related to Jaws on social media, I think about you, man.
Look at your back. Look over your right shoulder.
I know. It's the board game. I have Jaws, the board game. It's because of you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I do love it. I like that. Yeah, it's a huge thing. The whole Jaws thing's a thing. That became a thing last year. Things like that help you. Like I've met some pretty cool people just BSing about Jaws because of the banner back and forth and stuff, man. So So you talked about social media. Before we get too sidetracked here, we don't have a whole lot of. Well, we got a ton of time left, but I don't. You know what I'm saying?
I'm here for as long as you need me.
What has been your most? Because the social media, I think we can all agree. So I don't know how to say this. We love the people that we interact with.
Yes.
But it is absolutely the biggest pain in the ass of the job.
Absolutely.
It drives it's the time, the edit, like it's like you just want to be yourself, but you feel like you're constantly like begging people. But here's the thing though. I know as a podcast listener, because I'm also a huge fan, that every now and then somebody will tweet out there, whatever their podcast, and I'm like, holy shit, that sounds awesome. And I listen to it and I'm like, I'm so glad they put that out there. So that's why I don't
That's
like.
What you think? Because that's not what I think.
No.
What happens to me is that I think, well, maybe I could have did that a little better.
No. I'm terrible at the social media thing. Like I'm really good at interacting with people, which is nice for sports because like I have great discussions about sports but as far as promoting the podcast, I'm terrible. Like the podcast communities that I'm in they help me so much because I'm like,
I feel like I'm begging. Yeah,
I do too. But then I'm like, I've also put them out there and somebody is attached themselves to it. And then they give me feedback like, oh man, that was really cool. So then I'm like, so what have you found the most effective social media that you've used in the last year?
What's really worked for me is Twitter.
Yeah.
Being that, well, see, that depends because for Basement Surge, it's Twitter, but for Pod to Vod, it's Instagram because Pod to Vod's more visual, it's more video kind of thing.
And your clips are pretty awesome, so that makes sense.
Thank you. But Twitter is a huge platform for podcasters because, and which surprised me because there are so many podcasters that are on Twitter that are looking to just, number one, just promote their show.
Yeah.
And, and are looking to get the news of a new episode out, and number two, they're just looking for followers, to grow their audience. So, but at the same time, it's kind of like, it's a double-edged sword, I think, because, maybe for me, I have more followers that are podcasters for Basement Surge than just Joe Schmo off the street.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like podcasters showing support for other podcasters, which I love and I'm grateful for, and I totally support every other podcast that's out there. And I'm grateful for the support that they show. But at the same time, I kind of think that that's kind of like the whole audience that's on Twitter. You know what I mean? It's not, you don't get Joe Schmo off the street saying, hey, your podcast sounds pretty good. Let me go and listen. And, so it kind of, I don't know how that really translates into listeners and subscribers.
Yeah.
But all in the same, I mean, if you follow a show, like I follow Jeff Needs Help, Jeff Needs Sports, Dads Worldwide, I follow all you guys. So, when we do a show together and I tag you in it, I'm exposing myself to your audience. So,
right.
It's just, it's a win-win, I think, and I think Twitter has a great audience for podcasters. And on Twitter, they do have those people, I'm going to say people in quotation marks, asking for podcast recommendations all the time.
Yeah, what is that about? Explain that, because I know that's fishy, but
like half of those people are bots, and
they have to be.
Yeah, and
nobody would need okay, so I don't. So anybody listening to this, if you found this through like asking for podcast recommendations, I'm going to apologize, but there's no freaking way. There's no freaking way that somebody.
If you are like legitimately looking for podcast recommendations, listen to Jeff Needs Help, Jeff Needs Sports, Basement Surge, and Podcast to Podcast. That's it.
How did you not go to a search engine or just click your podcast thing and search? Like every time I see that, I'm like, you know you don't need podcast recommendations.
Right, but here's the thing, Jeff, is that these people might be fake, they might be bots, they might be people who spam other accounts, okay?
Yeah.
But the thing is that these people get such a huge audience that even that if you do put your link onto these posts, you'll still get exposure, you know? So you might get other people who are also posting within the post.
Oh man, see, this is where I fail at it because I'm like this frustrated. This is why I like having our website, our network website, you know, for the sports stuff, because people can go on there and like go on there and like interact like with reading and look at us and stuff like that, because it does get frustrating with that. Yeah, I never see, you know, so Facebook, what they do for anybody that's listening that doesn't know how this works, one of the tricks on Facebook is they'll get in these podcast groups or whatever, and they'll post, like say somebody will post something to the effect of, hey, everybody, I'm hearing my last show. Somebody told me the audio cuts out at like minute 2. Could you guys go listen and see if that's true? Well, then they get 500 listens from people just being nice.
Yeah.
You know,
you see, and my problem with that is that it's not real listeners. It's not real subscribers, you know. It's just one offers, you know. It's one timers. And you want people that are going to come back week after week, and the only way to do that is through consistent social media marketing.
Yeah, and just keep at it. And for the record, anybody out there listening, those silly 5-star reviews on Apple and stuff, they really do help. That's all algorithms and stuff. And when you hear us all beg for it, like it sounds like it really does help us move up the search engines. That's all it's doing. It sounds crazy, and every time I ask for it, I feel like but it really does help if anybody takes the time just to give their, you know, favorite podcaster a 5-star review or whatever positive thing you can do. It helps. It just helps move up the search engines to where, like when somebody searches WandaVision, you know, mine might come up before the next one. You know,
his will come up before mine. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like just like that. That's all that does. So so it was it's probably about a year ago. Actually, it was a year ago. It was when the Aaron Hernandez documentary came out. I remember this because Aaron Hernandez is spelled with 2 A's. And so the night
I remember this.
You remember this story? Yeah. So the night the documentary comes out, a guy posts a 5-minute episode, and it's just him on his phone. I shouldn't say just. It's only, a lot of people take the word just out of context. Just means like, it can just mean like only, but people always take it negative. It just is not a negative word. That's the context. But anyway, it was only him on his phone for 5 minutes talking about the Aaron Hernandez documentary that he just watched. But he was one of the first ones to put it on, and he titled his episode Aaron Hernandez. So it's AA. So it was one of the first ones that came up. And the next day he's like, I don't know what happened. He had like 10,000 listens because people searched, and it was the first one that came up. I mean, and it was crazy. It was a crazy story. I'm like that's lightning in a bottle situation right there. Cause I went on and listened to it. I'm like, well, I'll go and listen to it. I listened to it. I'm like, it was just dude, like on his phone. I don't even you know what? He's not listening. Like it was nothing. It wasn't even a podcast. It was just a dude mumbling about Aaron Hernandez. Like it was crazy.
But he got thousands of listens, thousands of downloads.
It was crazy. What a crazy story because of algorithms. I mean, just search engines. And that is one thing I like about Jeff Needs Help and Jeff Needs Sports. They don't match up. Like once you get to like Jeff NE, I pop up, both of them. So that is something I did, you know, fairly smart over the last year when I was naming my podcast. It sounds silly now.
No, it's not silly at all. It's a good job of marketing.
It actually is actually turning out really well because it's got my name in the title, and it really is kind of becoming like my personality. Like my shows are my personality, so I don't regret that. That's something I'm glad that I didn't call it like the 50-yard line or something like that. I'm glad that I went with something more personable. It's actually worked out. I mean, as far as like the sports side of it, I've met a ton of great, like, you know, my interaction every night with like you know, tweeting and the sports and stuff, the connections are really doing well. Like That
Awesome.
part's yeah, it is. It's really cool. So like they got a new thing now. I don't know if you've heard of this. So it's called Colorcast. So okay,
Jeff, what are you gonna get me into now? What the hell is this?
this is great, dude. This that's exactly what I said. My guys start doing it, and I was like, "You've got to be kidding me! I've got to do something else now." So okay, so it's vaguely like Clubhouse, but it's not. So essentially, okay, so you go on the app and you pick whatever sports game you're watching. So like the other night,
it sports only?
Yes.
Okay.
Because here's why. I know it's gonna evolve.
Heather's like, oh no.
For everybody,
oh no, here we go.
Heather's been on my show. A great guest, actually. Yeah, Heather's a big. Heather's had a lot of fun with us through the years. She pops in and out of the live.
Hell yeah.
Puts up. Yeah, she's really had a lot of fun with us through the years.
She loves you, man.
So you go on, like, say you pick whatever football game you're watching, right? And you click on it, and then you click cast. So what somebody can do is they get on there and they can listen to your broadcast of the game they're watching. So instead of listening to,
so you can be like a commentator for the game?
Say whatever you want. So
oh my God.
It's the greatest thing ever. Now, the only thing we have to figure out is how to get multiple people on it. Because right now it's a phone app. And that's your mic. So basically, we just got to find a way to get our mixer into it where you can get more people. Which how long is that going to take? This thing's like brand new.
I was just going to say that's pretty easy. You just get the mixer involved. You make a phone call. You get everybody on a conference.
Exactly. That's all you got to do, right? It's awesome though. It's like my guys did it the other night. We're watching the All-Star game. I'll tell you how new it is. I got on the other night during the NBA All-Star game. There was only 4 people broadcasting. 2 of them I knew personally. Like that's how new it is.
Wow.
5 days from now, it's going to be 10,000. So yeah. So like I can get on there and watch the Buckeyes game, but you can get on there and listen to me like talk about the game that you're watching. You know what I mean? So it's called.
Does it have to be sports?
As of now, it's all sports.
Okay.
And what's cool though too is they actually give you can time it up. So like say you're really trying to call the game, which is something I'm sure people will get really good at. You can actually go forward and backward. So you time like what you're watching, because you're watching it on my TV and your TV. We want to sync them up. It actually factors that in. It's really cool, man. You have to go check it out.
Oh man. Like I pulled up the website already. Like,
it's going to be great. It's like for people like me, it's like going to be, it could be big. It could be big for our network.
Man. That's great.
You might be watching a game. You might go on and listen to me and the guys talk about the game.
Sure. Hell yeah.
If it's a game,
I would rather listen to you than any commentator on television.
Yeah, you see what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it could be big. So that's the newest thing. I'm like, oh, that's what I needed. I needed one more thing to do.
Great, man.
I'm going to add that to Clubhouse and
you see, you and I need to do something more with Clubhouse. I think
that'd be cool.
Yeah, I think either a weekly show or maybe something like twice a week or something. I don't know, but we need to talk about vodcasting. We need to talk sports. Yeah. I'm down for a sports room. So I think Clubhouse needs to be utilized by every podcaster.
Oh yeah, my guys get into like NBA chat rooms and they bounce ideas off each other and things like that all the time. They're big fans of it. Yeah, big fans of it.
Yeah. Would you do me a favor? Put my wife's comment on the screen.
Which the Romo one?
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah. I think she meant to say I won't listen if Romo isn't on because she loves Romo.
I thought she was a Romo fan. Isn't she a Cowboys fan?
Yeah, no, she's a diehard Cowboys fan. I tried to get her to convert.
Yeah, she just got her quarterback today or yesterday.
Yeah, I tried to make her convert when Dak broke his ankle, but
So, do you know how much money Dak's going to make next year?
How much?
$75 million.
That's it?
Isn't that crazy?
Oh my God!
Coming off a broken ankle, so that's his total. His total guaranteed is like 123, I think. his contract's like 160 overall, but next year with the signing bonus, his next year's salary will be $75 million.
Is he still year to year, like with the contracts?
No, that's what they signed yesterday. It was going to be, they were going to franchise him. And then out of nowhere, they signed it's a 4-year deal worth, I think it's 4-year deal worth like 160.
Yeah, Heather just said 1.6. Yeah, 1.6 million.
No, it's not 1.6. There's a zero missing. 160 million.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And
can we just get like maybe 160, like not 160. Can we get like 20 million just for podcasting?
I think that would get us by, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I'll do it for 20.
I'll do it for 10. Like
I will split 20 with you. If we get 20, I'll split 20 with you.
All right, see, 10 and 10. There we go.
My dream is still to have it like I want a podcast office and a studio. And
you are talking to the right person, my friend.
All I want to do, man. Hey, you never know, man. You never know.
I have no problems moving my wife and 5 children to Ohio.
No, if you would have told me a year ago that I'd be part of the sports network that is doing as well as it is, I wouldn't have believed that. So the sky's the limit, man. I mean, it really is. He's got to. I mean, obviously it takes that. You got to strike gold. It takes that one thing.
Yeah,
somebody's got to do it.
Yeah.
Like why not us?
And you know what? I think you and I have come from the same place. You and I have really grown up together in podcasting where, it's kind of like if an opportunity comes to me and I think that it can benefit from a sports guy, I'd be like, hey, Jeff, come in on this with me, And so, it's kind of like, I think our relationship is kind of like that. And it's funny because again, this goes back to that conversation we were having where it's like, like I never thought I'd have real friends out of this.
No, oh yeah, I come to you with everything. As soon as I get like an opportunity, like I come to you with advice and with everything. It's been awesome. And it's what a year it's been. And like I say, what's really crazy about it is we don't work together that often.
No.
And we did like we talked about in the beginning, like it was like every day.
In the beginning, we were doing every show together. We were doing, thinking up new shows like the Morning Buzz.
Yeah.
And but that was all the growing, that was us coming up and figuring out how to do a live show, how to do a vodcast, how to make the graphics, how to do the banners, what's the best way to do this. And, so it's just, you know what? I'm just happy to see Linda in the comments again. That's all.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she's great. She gets a kick out of it, man. Oh man, yeah, it's been a great year, buddy. I can tell you that. And yeah, like I said, I can't recommend anybody listening enough, anybody watching enough. Go check out everything John's doing. I can't even describe everything he's doing. He told you earlier,
bro. You are the one who made a freaking network. Like, I mean, come on.
Yeah. I'm not ashamed. I'm
over here busting my ass on 2 separate shows, like, trying to kill myself on graphics and intros and freaking, like finding out, all right, what am I going to do this week? Meanwhile, this guy over here has got a freaking network. He's got an army of guys, ready at a second's notice to talk about sports.
It makes it easier.
Yeah.
I got a lot of help.
He's writing articles. He's doing live shows. He's building this, building that. Like, I mean, come on.
Yeah. I won't lie. I'm pretty awesome, John.
You are.
I'm just kidding, man.
I'm riding on the coattails, Jeff.
I literally think I could without John or Brendan or Heather or Linda or anybody or Josh or like everybody that's helped along the way. Josh was one of my first interviews. Did a great interview. That was a big get for me. Cinematic blind spots. That was a big moment. And you're always learning how to do these things and get more comfortable with it and figure things out and bounce ideas off each other. So it's been a blast, man. So
yeah, you know what it is for me is that this gave me an opportunity to be creative. I'm a very creative person, And I have my painting easel is behind me. I have a whole bunch of drawing stuff. I'm a creative person, so it's like podcasting gave me the outlet to be creative, whether it be with graphics, video, intros, music, audio, so it's all that. And when I had first started podcasting, it's like I did it for fun. I did it because, hey, let's pick up a hobby and let's just have some fun with it. And it's really turned out to be a platform for me to express my creativity.
Yes.
And
I totally agree. It's I can't believe how much I've liked it. I totally agree.
Yeah. And along the way I've met great friends like you, Brennan, everybody else, and other fellow podcasters, the guys from Dad and Rock, they're good friends, and but at the same time I get to reach out to people, thousands of people every week, and it's just it's amazing. Yeah, like I'm grateful, and I'm just blown away by the audience and by the people who support our shows.
Oh yeah, I totally get it. It's like I say, it's crazy. This has turned into something like, it started with the football podcast, and then it turned into Jeff Needs Help, and then all this, and then all of a sudden, like I'm living out a dream. I'm writing sports articles and putting them on the website for anybody in the world can see them if they choose. Like I know that everybody doesn't, but they're out there, and they're out there like it's theoretically forever. You know what I mean? Like anybody can click on them, and anybody can see some of the thoughts I've had, and I get to say some of the stuff that some of the important stuff I've been thinking about my whole life, and I get to put it out there, and I get to talk about it. So I totally agree.
Yes.
It's a like I say, it's not even a I need attention thing. It's a
no, not at all.
And once again, like you never know that one person that you share a thought with, and you're like, that's exactly how I saw it. Like every now and then, like it doesn't matter. It'll just be a random show, and I'll get a thought from a listener or a viewer, and it'll be like, man, I like what you said about X,
right.
Y, or whatever, and it makes you feel great to that connection, with anybody, and then, hopefully it turns into a huge connection, and we all want to, get paid to do this someday and all that, but as of now, it's
fun. It's fun, and I do it for the fun. I do it for the outlet, the creativity, and I'm grateful to the audience. I'm grateful to everybody who supports the show, and if one day it does turn into making some money, then hey, that's great. But I'm not going to stop busting my ass, and with each episode, no matter what show I'm on, it's gonna level everything up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and yes, Heather, I cannot do this without my wife.
No, I couldn't even dream of doing this without my wife. It takes a lot of patience and a lot of eye rolling and a lot of head shaking and a lot of I don't get it, but I get it.
Right. Really. Jeff, I don't think like maybe you went through the same thing with Alicia, but I went through a period of my podcasting career where that's all I talked about. That's all I talked about. I talked about podcasting. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. What do you think about this? So it's like she put up with a lot of shit, and especially dealing with all the kids in the house and all my 8 kids. So
12 kids. It's more every week. It's more every week. It also goes the other way. Like it's I get a lot, everybody's also really supportive. Like I tell everybody, like, what do you do? I'm like, I'm also a podcaster or whatever. Like, oh, that's really cool. Like everybody, I've had friends be on, friends listen, and they may only listen to one episode that spikes their interest, but they really like it. But that doesn't. But they might really like it. You know what I mean? Like how it is. Like you can't expect people to. I mean, people have time constraints just like we do. So it's
funny because I last week I broke a tooth, and I had to go to the dentist.
That's a good place to go if you break it.
And yeah, and I'm sitting there in the dentist chair, and the dentist is looking at my mouth like he's got me spread open, and he's like, so John, what do you do? I'm like, right now I'm a podcaster. And he's like, and he takes his hands out of my mouth, and he just looks at me. He's like, you're a podcaster? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I love podcasts. I listen to them all the time. Yeah. I'm like, well, you should listen to the Basement Surge.
Yeah.
And so I got to talking to him about it, and I'm like, well, we're currently looking for sponsors, and this is a dentist. I'm like, like, what the hell am I doing, pitching a dentist to be a sponsor for the Basement Surge?
You never know, man.
So it's like this guy. He's like, well, majority of the people that come and see me are within like a 5-mile radius of my office. I'm like, all right, that's understandable. That's Brooklyn, New York. That's where I'm from.
Oh,
it's right around here. So I pulled out my phone. I showed him the stats on the podcast, and I'm like, look, my biggest city is Brooklyn, New York. And he's like, huh, then maybe this is something I'm going to have to think about.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah.
So you never know, so it could be somebody who's pulling your tooth, or, somebody who's a proctologist with a finger up your ass, like, who knows?
Or just somebody with a finger up your ass. Like, you don't have to do it.
Yeah. Be like, hey, how'd you like to sponsor my show?
No, it is crazy. It is. I had the same conversation. I bumped into a guy the other day, and at a brewery, me and the head, the owner / head brewer, like we've been trying to schedule a podcast forever, but because of everything, it's been a little tough. Yeah. And next thing I know, like the guy pouring beers was like, he was a huge fan of podcast. And so like I got to have like a half-hour conversation about it, and he was like legitimately interested or whatever. So, we had a lot. Apparently, the finger up the ass. That was too much.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Linda.
So you're right. You never know, and that's what I mean.
I've been hanging out with Frank too much. No, I'm kidding.
But I totally get what you mean. It's funny. I figured what he was going to say. Was when he said you're a podcaster. He said he was going to say, you mean like Joe Rogan? Because if I hear that name one more freaking time.
Yeah, no, I asked him if he'd listened to Rogan. He said no.
Yeah.
Funny enough, he said he actually listens to a dental podcast.
There you go. You just never know, man.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe on the next episode, I'll give him a shout out and send it to him. Maybe who knows?
Yeah. Shout out, dentist, Brooklyn dentist. Here's the Brooklyn dentist. We love you.
That's right. You know what? Off the top of my head, I can't remember the name of him. The dentist. Like, it's the first time I used
probably only one. I'm sure he'll get it. There's probably only one dentist in Brooklyn.
Yeah. Okay. There's one like every block.
Probably true. This
is where the show gets weird. So
we're gonna finish up perfect comment. Heather says, "Yep, this is where the show gets weird." No, it's not, Heather.
No. This is where the show gets good. We're an hour and a half in.
No.
Like 5 drinks in. Well, for me anyway. I'm good.
Oh no. We're gonna wrap up the live version of the show here. Because so Jeff doesn't have to go back and edit for 4 hours.
What edit? Don't edit this. Put it out. Put it out just the way it is, man. It's beautiful.
That's what I mean. Yeah, it's perfect. However, we did that one with Dad's Worldwide. It was 4 hours, dude.
Oh my god.
And Brendan texted me and he's like, I swear I'm gonna put it out. But we went 4 hours and I don't know where to start, where to stop. Oh, and I get it. I did it with the Tiger King. You wind up one that night. Like, it got to be like 3.5 hours, and I'm like,
I remember that. Yeah.
I don't even know where to start and stop. And that was when we were all delirious, like in the beginning of the shutdown.
Jeff, these are classic episodes of ours, man. Classics.
So much fun. So much fun. Yeah, we've had some doozies. The funniest is when John gets like six McCallums in him. Starts. John's a really reserved guy. That's what's funny. we'll do the morning buzz, and like a school teacher, and then by 1 a.m, he's screaming at me to.
I'm better at nighttime. I'm better when I've had 3 drinks in me. So
you've got an in between there. It is funny though, because Drunk John's awesome. I should have just faked this and started recording now, because now that would have been hilarious.
No, I'm not drunk. I'm just I'm just having fun.
No, I'm just kidding. But we are going to cut this here now before it just gets delirious. I want to thank John for coming on. This is actually awesome. This is kind of our year anniversary show. Podcast 101, rekindling, all that. It's kind of just a
Jeff, may we do more shows together?
Yes, I think so.
I miss you. I miss doing shows. We need to do more shows.
It's so easy. It just feels, it's so natural. Like I believe so. Maybe we'll do some Clubhouse stuff in the future, some more shows in the future. But mainly, everybody go check out John on. Well, you know what? I'll let John tell you. John, you tell him if you remember everywhere the people can find you.
Head on over to thebasementsurge.com, where you can listen to all of my previous podcasts and watch our vodcasts, me and Frank on The Basement Surge. We talk about anything and everything: video games, movies, being a dad, living here in Brooklyn, Jaws. We talk about a whole lot of shit. So head on over to thebasementsurge.com. Also, if you want to learn how to take your podcast to a vodcast, head on over to vodsquad.live and sign up for my course. I'm doing a course, Jeff. I'm teaching people. I'm teaching you how to level up your show, and I teach you everything from the graphics to social media to how to use StreamYard to just OBS, everything on how to produce your own successful live show. So vodsquad.live, head on over there. And I'm speaking out conventions, bro. I got the editor-in-chief of Podcast Magazine coming on the show this week.
It's great.
I got a lot of shit happening, and it's I'm blessed. I'm lucky.
That's hard work, man. It's hard work. You've had a great year. Like it's been pretty cool to see your ascension, through the ranks, and how like every time a new medium comes up, you know what I mean? You take it on full force. You're on it. You're always at the cutting edge of it. I appreciate that. It helps me. Like
Tony Stark.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I yeah. If you're Tony Stark, maybe I'm.
You're the Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I actually do. They do actually do this, call this Hunt Manor, and my guys call that. So
you're the Bruce Wayne.
I'll take that. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
I'm going to hit end broadcast here, and then me and John are going to laugh. But I really do appreciate it. John brought it up. Like we can't thank everybody enough that listens, that watches, that puts up with our your craziness. We appreciate you all. We love you all. Go check out Jeff Needs Help, Jeff Needs Sports, Off the Ball Network, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everyone.
Good night.